Hi, my name is Lizzie, and today we are going to talk about some really shiny subject, which will be particle effects in Procreate using some custom brushes. And we are going to look at 4 different ways you can get this shiny effect in Procreate. And without further ado, I want this to be a really quick tutorial, so I'm going to just go ahead and start doing it. So I want to show you 4 ways of doing the shiny stuff in Procreate. So I'm going to go on and just make 4 different blobs. This is my first one. I'm going to put them on different layers just in case I will need more space. But I'm going to turn these off for now. So the first and probably the most common way or easiest way to do it is to take your blob and going to make another layer below it and group them together so we know that this is shine 1. We are going to take the airbrushing brush from the soft airbrush from airbrushing, soft blend, and do some really light color behind. And it already shows as you softly move your pencil around that it has that glowing effect, right? You can make the size a bit smaller, press a bit more so it blends in more with the initial blob. I'm gonna say blob a lot of times in this video. And you see that it looks like it's glowing. This is the most basic way of doing it. You don't need anything for it. This is all in Procreate already. All the brushes I used. I just used the modified studio pen to put down the initial circle right away. So there was nothing special about that. It's just I made the size a bit bigger because I used bigger canvas. So here's the first one that looks like glowing, and maybe even I'm going to smudge it a bit on the sides of this blob, and then it looks like it's glowing. So, and my smudge is also soft blend, by the way. So this is the first method that I don't use this method, but it's pretty, right? I mean, it's good. The second one is very similar, except you can do it with just one click. Basically, there's a bloom option in Procreate, and you can go, and when you drag your finger or pen on the screen to the right side, it adds more and more bloom. For now, you can see the edges a lot, and you see that it's brighter than the other one, and you can set this to bigger size so it looks more shiny, and you can set the burn higher so it shows how much it will fill out from that size that you picked. The problem with this is these circles. If you see that it has some kind of burn marks on the edges and it's not really pretty, you can either erase it with the soft blend brush or just leave it like this. It doesn't particularly bother me in my drawings, and I also don't do this big bloom, so I am going to show you what I usually do. So let's just put this down as the second method. It's a really simple version of the first one. And then for the third one, we are going to do something a bit more advanced. We are going to combine what we did. Well, kind of. We are going to go and do bloom again, but this time we are only going to add a little bit of bloom, so those circles that I mentioned, they don't come out as much. I don't want those circles to be that prominent, so I'm just only going to do a little. And then the layer below, I'm going to put on add. I'm going to use my own brush for this, but if you have something similar, then feel free and go ahead doing it. I usually use my own brushes for these kind of things, so sorry. I am using this Dream Dust shader, which will give a bit of a particle effect vibe to it, which I personally really like because it looks more magical, natural, more worked on. It looks like that I added more details with it, but still very subtle and still very... I just barely move my brush, by the way, and just let the... or pencil, oh god, and just let the brush do what it does best and just add some particle effects around it. This is the one that I use most often, and what I sometimes do is make another layer, put it on add, and sometimes I do these kind of circular things around it. Same brush set. It's all in my Dreamy Drawing Tools brush set with the Miss Dotty Shine brush, and with these little circular movements, it looks like it's emanating some light. And this is the one that I use most often for my drawings, for my animal drawings, for example. You might have seen them since, well, you just saw them in the beginning of this video. So this is the most common one that I use. And then here comes the fourth one, which is very similar to this one, but I'm going to use a different brush, and it will not be this emanating form, but more about shininess. So we start out the same way as have to rename it. So we start out the same way as always. We start with bloom. We do bloom. I'm happy with this. I am going to make a new layer below it. I'm going to put it on add. I'm going to do my Dream Dust shader, as it is a variation of the previous one. It's if you keep changing the size, then it adds more variation to the particles itself. And I am going to go ahead and use my Lumi brush set, if I find it, which is my glitter shower brush, if you have it. Then you just go in and put the spacing higher and the jitter lower, and then you have this just small dots at random places. I'm not going to save it now, but that's the brush. And I am going to just do this. And this way it looks like there's glow coming out of it with small little orbs. There is one extra way to do it, but I didn't want to overwhelm you, but there's an extra way to do it that was from the times before Procreate had the bloom function. I will show you this one too, because maybe you will need it for some kind of artwork. So I'm going to make another blob, and this will be a bit more complicated. This is your original thing that you want to make that is glowing. You are going to make duplicates of it, and I'm putting the one on top, and then you put it to add, and you go and do Gaussian blur, and you do a small amount on the first one, a bit more on the second one. I did 7% on the first, so I'm going to do like 12 now. Oh, wrong layer. Well, I'm going to do 7% on this one then. I am so sorry, guys. And then I'm going to do 17, I am thinking now. Yes, and we are going to duplicate this layer and make it add as well. And as you see, it's basically the second method with the bloom, except you don't get those circles that I was talking about. So it's a clearer way of doing bloom. So if you like this second look and you don't mind the extra layers, then you should try this one, because this is 5 layers on its own, so it's a bit more taxing on your layer count. But yes, this is the 5th and original way of doing bloom in Procreate, or making things shiny. And that's it basically. I hope you liked this video and this mini guide, and I hope you found it useful. If you want any of these brushes, then I'm going to put this in the description of this video. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!